Yes, all my warriors come out to play
Warriors, come
because
out
it's
to
about that time.
play.
And all my Spartans, let me hear you make some noise. I know you're out there. One of my favorite, my macho men and my nature boys out there. Let me hear you make some noise. And most importantly, make some noise for yourself for listening to the Mental Warrior podcast.
Warriors, come out and play.
And our goal here is all about personal development and getting better. And it's our mission to create an army of millions and millions of mental warriors. Because when you can win the war in your mind, you can win the battle for your life. And that's what we're trying to do, is help you win that war in your mind so you win the battle for your life. We're trying to spread like a disease, like a virus, but in a good way. We're trying to create more warriors because the world needs more warriors now than ever. So if this is your first time watching on YouTube or listening on podcast, I'm your host, Zach. And you can check the Mental Warrior out also on all social media platforms. Just check for the Mental Warrior Life, something similar to that name across all platforms: X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. We also post inspirational clips from other warriors who inspire us. So make sure you check us out on social media. We got a lot of good stuff on there. And again, I want to thank you for watching or listening to the show. Here we cover a lot of topics that'll help you become mentally strong, become mentally a warrior, because the mind and their thoughts are what control everything else. So in today's episode, I want to talk about something that we all experience. If you have an emotion or you're a human being, chances are you've experienced this, and it's definitely affected your life. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about negativity. Because today's episode is titled "Negativity is a Drug, and we need to cure our addiction." So the purpose of this episode, we're going to deep dive into how negativity truly is a drug. It truly is addicting. And then we're going to talk about a cure to help you fix your drug problem, if you will, or your negativity problem. Because we all have negative thoughts. We all know negative people. Some of us are more negative than others. So in some way or shape or form, whether it's you or someone else, negativity affects your life. And the people in control, the media, the news, the foods we eat, they all know this too. They know that negativity is addicting, and they use it against us. And they play with our minds, play with our hearts, play with our stomachs. And we're not going to let them get away with that, are we? So in this episode, we want to do a deep dive into how negativity is addicting and some ways that I personally found that helped me curb or cure my addiction, because negativity is not going anywhere. It's always going to be here. You can't fully get rid of it, because it also could be good in some ways. It can fuel you, but you can curb it, or you can use it to an advantage. See, the thing about negativity is, talk is cheap. Let me ask you a question. What's easier? A, taking action, or B, moaning and complaining? Now, if you pick B and moaning and complaining, you're wrong. You picked A, taking action, that's the easier way. Now, it might seem like it's the harder way, but in the long run, it's the easier way. See, it's easy to sit around and feel bad for yourself, throw a pity party, eat some crap food, bitch and moan, sit around, complain. Why me? I'm always so lucky. I'm always unhappy. You see your friend, they ask you how you're doing. Oh, I'm feeling so bad. Blah, blah, blah. You feel sorry for yourself. You get attention. That's the easy way out. It's so much easier to just give in and be negative and say screw it and pout and complain and do nothing about it and just get fixated on the nothing that you're doing, just sitting around making it worse. So in the short term, it's way easier to do that. And it's short term, it's way harder to do something about it. But you're going to pay in the long run because the bill always comes due. So you take the easy route out, take the easy route now, things get harder later. So negativity is addicting. It's easy, it's cheap, it's free. It's easy to just sit around and feel sad for yourself and just downward spiral. You coddle yourself, you do things to make yourself feel better when really you just need a kick in the ass. So you stop feeling negative and you do something about it. Because while it's so much harder to do something about it, it's way more rewarding. And in the long run, you'll thank yourself. See, negativity is the gateway to the devil's lair. Now, if you've been listening to my show, you might hear me mention, or if you read my tweets on X, you might hear me mention the devil. I've been reading a great book, or listening to the audio version. It's on YouTube, but you should go buy it. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And in the book, it's about Napoleon interviewing the devil, and the devil just talks about all the things, how he controls us, all the things we do to ourselves, and how he gets to us. And while, the devil might be real, if you believe in God, you got to believe the devil's real. So whether it's an entity walking amongst us or it's a metaphor for your worst self, either way, negativity is the gateway to the devil's lair. And inside this lair is where your hopes and dreams go to die. So when you have a negative thought, you're literally walking down into hell, into the devil's lair, where your hopes and dreams go to die. And all this is doing is placating you in the short term, and it's just really distracting you from your hopes and dreams. Because that's all negativity is. It's avoidance. It's avoiding the work. It's avoiding doing what you know you got to do, but you don't feel like doing it. And it's super addicting to just sit around and do nothing and complain and moan. I've said that about 5 times already, but it's true. Feeling sad for yourself, feeling down, it's a drug. While it doesn't make you feel good, it makes you feel good at the same time. It's almost like a pacifier for a crying baby or a sad baby. If you eat junk food when you feel sad or whatever, you're just pacifying yourself. So if you have hopes and dreams, you don't want to go down in the devil's lair. We want to go up. We can't make things worse. When bad things happen, we can't downward spiral. That's the time when you got to rise above. One of my favorite sayings is you got to double down to double up. So in these times when you're feeling sad and feeling negative, that's when you really got to dig down deep and double down to double up. Because that's the most important time when you got to be at your best. Because it's easy for a coward to spiral down, feel bad for himself, and avoid the work. But a real warrior doesn't avoid the work. He goes through it. Because when it comes to pain and things like that, the only way through is through it. And in my opinion, personally, this cure for this drug, negativity, the cure can't be bought. There really is no magical cure that you can get from a doctor or from the store. It comes from doing the internal work. Now, I know people who are on antidepressants, and that's fine. I'm not judging you. But I personally don't believe in them. This is not medical advice, as you know. So you do what's best for you. But my thing is, at least try a more natural way first. Try to do the internal work. A lot of people just don't even know where to start or where to begin, or they don't believe that they can cure this negativity themselves. But you can. You just have to learn how to do it. You got to do the work. So the first part of this video is talking about how negativity is a drug and it's addicting. And in the end of this video, I want to talk about some cures that I've found that have worked for me. And I think they'll work for you. Now, I've also done a lot of internal work. I've read books. I watch a lot of podcasts, things like that. And, I'm just an average Joe. I'm an average warrior, just like you. I'm no different. And I'm not cured by any means, but I've come a long way. And that's why I felt the need to make this podcast and do what I'm doing. Because let's be honest, I'm not making any money off of this. I'm hoping it'll help others. So I just like to share my experiences, what's helped me to create another mental warrior that hopefully in turn will create another mental warrior. So the best way to cure anything or fix anything is you understand the issue and how things work, because that's how you figure out how to fix it and ultimately change your behavior. Because the mind is a computer and it just computes what we put into it. There are outside factors that influence everything, like our thoughts, which affects how the computer runs. And we don't want to be our own virus to our own computer. So our thoughts, the things we eat, the things we put inside our body, that's what keeps the computer running. So if you have negative thoughts, you're basically putting the virus in the brain of your computer, which is causing it not to function correctly. So what we need to do is we need to rise above all of this and find our anchors and find our routines to help us stay focused. And we have to understand that negativity truly is a drug. It's addicting. It's easy to sit around and it's harder to actually do the work and figure things out and put in that consistent effort every day. And you don't want to be down with the devil. You don't want to be in the devil's lair, because that's all he wants is for you to feel this way. So whether you believe the devil is real or not, you could just look at your negative self as a devil, and we don't want to let the devil win. You got to fight the devil inside of you and fight the powers that be, because society is engineered in a way where they want us to be negative and they want us to be sad. They don't want you to feel that blood flowing through you. They don't want you going to the gym and getting stronger. And I know this sounds like stupid conspiracy stuff, but society is engineered this way so that the things we watch, the drugs we take, it makes us sad. It makes us addicted to bad things. And they know this and they use it against us. So we just got to realize that when you have these negative thoughts, it's easy to downward spiral into more negative thoughts, taking more negative actions, which create more negative habits, which create negative moods. So you don't even want to go down that road. As soon as you have a negative thought, you just want to kill it. Literally tell yourself to shut up. One of my favorite scenes from a movie is Home Alone, the first one. And at the beginning of the movie, Kevin McAllister, he's like 7 or 8. There's a furnace in the basement and he's scared of the furnace. He's scared to go down there. When he goes down there, the furnace talks to him and scares him. And then toward the end of the movie, when the boy becomes a man and protects his house from the wet bandits, we see a scene where he goes into the basement and the furnace starts to talk to him and he just tells the furnace to shut up. And I've always used that as a metaphor for my life that, we just got to tell that furnace to shut up. And in this case, that furnace is the negativity and the negative thoughts. Because once you have that negative thought, it leads to other negative thoughts, and it's an addiction, and it's easy to give in. And we don't do the easy things around here. We do the hard things. So when those negative thoughts pop in your head, you think of the furnace from Home Alone and just tell it to shut up. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you have your ways of how you deal with addiction, I would love to hear them in the comments. Send me a message, let me know. Or I'm sorry, not deal with addiction. Well, addiction too, but how you deal with negativity and your negative thoughts. Because it's definitely a skill that you learn. And I know there are people out there who have learned to deal with it better and probably know better than me. And there's some people who are just not negative at all. A lot, some people have figured this out, and some people are still on a journey of figuring it out. But either way, you don't give up. You keep trying. That's what a warrior does. That's what a warrior does. And that's it for this episode about how negativity is addicting and it's a drug. And hopefully I just gave you some cures to figure out how to be less negative. So that's it. I'll see you next episode.